Whoop that trick, yeet. Whoop that trick, yeet. Whoop that trick, yeet. Bro, this episode of NXT on the CW, man, this was very, very good, man. This was fun. It was entertaining. It was engaging. And it was so much better than the awful Raw episode we had yesterday, and also the garbage SmackDowns that we get pretty much consistently, right? The SmackDown premiere on USA was actually a good episode in my opinion, but this is probably the best episode of WWE television that I've seen in a long time. And like I said to you guys multiple times, I've watched maybe 2 or 3 full episodes of NXT in the last 9 years, but this episode was awesome. Now, let's start off with what happened first. Trick Williams basically comes out with the NXT title because, he won it last week off of Ethan Page, and he's basically cutting a promo, right? He's like, yeah, I'm back, I'm the champ, Trick Willie, you know what I'm saying? And then Wes Lee interrupts Trick Williams and basically is talking to him from the stands. He's like, dude, we don't want to see you celebrate for 2 hours, man, just shut up. And it was kind of funny. And then Trick Williams says, shut up, light skin. Let me tell you what's about to happen, you know what I'm saying? Trick Williams actually has a decent amount of charisma, believe it or not, and quite frankly, guys like him and a couple other people we're going to touch on in a second, okay? I have not watched NXT in a long time consistently, and I'm probably still not going to watch it consistently except for, keeping up with the YouTube videos and stuff, but there's some talent on this NXT roster that probably can go pretty far on WWE's main roster. So we're going to touch on that in a minute, but yeah, Trick Williams and Wes Lee go back and forth. This was actually a decent promo. It was pretty funny. They're kind of throwing slight jabs at each other, talking a little bit of trash, and then out of nowhere, Jey Uso pops up, dog, and it's like a whole it's like a freaking concert entrance. Everybody's yeeting. The crowd is massively popping. This crowd in St. Louis tonight was awesome, dog. It was very, very good. The crowd's popping out of their minds. Jey Uso comes in the ring, they're yeeting. And the funnest part of tonight is after Jey Uso introduces himself and Trick Williams is like, yeah, if you step up to the champs, you're going to get knocked down and we're going to whoop that trick together. And the crowd's like, yeet. And then it basically goes into this chant where it's like, whoop that trick, yeet, whoop that trick, yeet, whoop that trick, yeet. It was very entertaining. It was fun. The crowd was super into it. And even, Trick Williams and Jey Uso were laughing in the ring. Booker T was getting into it too. Booker T adds so much to this broadcast, by the way, dude. This dude is a legendary commentator in WWE, bro. This guy's hilarious. He says absolute nonsense, but he adds to it. He's like, oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, man. Booker T's good, man. So that was pretty much this opening segment. Then after this, I'm pretty sure we got yeah, that's what it was. Jade, Bianca, and Kaylani Jordan versus the Fatal Attraction, I think they were called. And honestly, this is pretty much a group of jobbers. However, there was a couple cool things that happened in this match. Now, number one, the entrance for Jade, Bianca, and Kaylani was just very hype. The crowd was into it, and it's great to see 2 top stars from the main roster, working with a talent on NXT. And multiple talents, I should say, because there was people, obviously fighting against them in the match. This was very good. Kaylani Jordan, again, just has extreme athleticism. At the end of the day, she can do 10 moonsaults before Bailey or Michin or any of these other jobbers on the main roster can do 2 moves. It's that simple. But yeah, this match was fun. It was quick. It didn't overstay its welcome. There was great moves like Jade and Bianca doing their team up, like dropkick into a German suplex stuff. You had this really funny thing I've never heard of, but Jasmine Nix, I honestly, dude, I'm sorry for not remembering the name, but you get the point. She has this finisher called like the Nix kick or something like that, or one of her moves is called the Nix kick, and I was just laughing at that because it's such a stupid name. It's kind of like the Roxanne Perez finisher called the Pop Rocks. I'm like, dude, go kick rocks, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, that was pretty much that. This match was pretty entertaining, and it didn't overstay its welcome, like I said. But later on after this, Jade, Bianca, and Kalani are walking backstage celebrating their victory, and they get confronted by, what's her name? Lash Legend and her partner, and they're going to fight Jade and Bianca for the tag belts on SmackDown. Now, like I always say, it's important to elevate whatever division and whatever people are around you if you are a genuine star. Bianca, I believe, is a star in the women's division, and same with Jade. So therefore, them doing this stuff with the women's tag belts where they're just fighting different people, undercard, mid-carders, NXT talent, it's helping elevate the women's division as a whole and give notoriety to lesser-known women's wrestlers. And this is great. This is awesome. This is what we like to see. You know what else we also like to see? We like to see this match. Oba Femi versus Tony D'Angelo was a banger. An absolute and utter banger. There's one problem with this match, which I'll discuss in like 2 seconds, but the actual in-ring work here was great. For Obafemi's size and his build, this dude is actually pretty athletic, man. Then you also have to factor in that his entrance to Obafemi, they make this dude look like an absolute beast, a savage, because he is a bigger dude. Like Tony D'Angelo, I think they showed the little stats in the corner. Like this dude's like a 6'1 or 6'2, and Obafemi's like noticeably way bigger than this guy. So, you know, Obafemi's just a big guy, man. And he goes in this ring, he's doing like drop kicks, he's doing choke slams on the apron, the big slap he did. He also got slammed through a table by Tony D'Angelo. And, you know, after Obafemi has now become the longest reigning North American champion in the history of NXT, this guy actually lost to Tony D'Angelo, man. Now, this means multiple things. Obviously, Obafemi is most likely headed to the main roster of WWE next year, which I'm kind of interested in. But at the same time, it means that Obafemi has finally lost for the first time in around a year, man. So that was pretty shocking. It was unexpected. There was multiple false finishes. The physicality was great. The movesets from each wrestler were great. The outside work, too, when he's like messing with Tony's little mob boss family, you know what I'm saying? That was pretty cool. So I really liked this match, and I am excited to see what happens with Obafemi. Like I said, I don't watch NXT, but what I'm seeing from this dude Obafemi, I've seen like 3 or 4 of this guy's matches and a couple of his promos. This dude actually has the capabilities of being an upper mid-carder or maybe an upper carder in general in WWE, bro, on the main roster. It's that simple. He's got the build, he's got the size, he's got the in-ring wrestling. His character / his gimmick is very good with the African, like Nigerian nightmare kind of thing they got going on there. That could work very well. And on top of that, he's believable that he could beat people up in the ring because he's physically imposing. You know, this dude, if booked correctly, like Shawn Michaels is booking him, this could turn into something special. So we'll just see what happens with that. But I'll tell you something I don't like to see, and that is bad promos. And that's exactly what Roxanne Perez and this Cora Jade character did here, man. This was boring. It fell flat. Roxanne Perez just isn't really a good promo worker. I mean, to her credit, I'm not going to bash her right now because she's very young. I think she's like in her early 20s, and she's going to have many years to develop most likely, right? Because at her base level of talent, she's already more talented than like 70% of the main women's roster, maybe 80%, right? Maybe even 90 at this point after the 5v5 jobber match that we got last night on Raw. If that's what's filling out your undercard or midcard in your women's division, you're in pretty bad shape, and you probably need someone like Roxanne Perez. But Roxanne Perez cuts a mid promo basically saying the same stuff. I'm still the champion. You know, everyone you wanted to beat me, I still beat them. I'm still the champion, yada, yada, yada. And then Cora Jade basically comes back, and her promo basically felt like she was reading off a script or trying to memorize lines that she was given. And that's not good for a promo. When you can tell it's scripted and that it's not natural and it doesn't have any charisma behind it, it's not a good look. And that's exactly what this was. Luckily, it gets cut short because Julia, she comes out. I like to call her Jobber Julia at this point, but Julia comes out and she basically doesn't even say anything. She just stands there and waits. And then Stephanie Vaquer comes out there, and I don't really know who this is. I mean, I've heard of her, like obviously she's wrestled in other promotions and stuff like that, but I'm not like well versed in all that other stuff, like New Japan and all that other. Like I don't know what the heck is going on with this, but yeah, they show up, and I guess this is a big moment. They hold the title together after fighting off Cora and Roxanne, and I guess this is setting up something for the future. But hey, as long as these people are going to be better than Lyra Valkyria, Zelina Vega, and the pure jobber collective on Raw, and, a couple jobbers like the Unholy Union and whatnot, then I'll take it. Stephanie Vaquer, if she's better than them, if Julia's better than them, then we'll take that. And then after this, we had another banger match with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller versus Fraxium, man, with Nathan Frazier and Axiom. This match was very, very good. It was entertaining. Like I said, these guys' athleticism is insane. Nathan Frazier might be the fastest dude in WWE right now, bro. He's up there with like the Braun Breakers in speed, in ring, and all that other stuff. This guy is insanely quick. All of his moves are going by in a blur. His selling is great. His moveset is great, obviously, because when you're that athletic and that fast, you can pull off dang near anything in the ring, kind of like Ricochet in a sense, but a little bit faster, and that just makes it for a better match. Grayson Waller did a good job here. His selling is getting better. Austin Theory did this really cool move. I think he calls it the Ataxia or whatnot. Very, very creative moves. Axiom was really good in this match. This was just entertaining. It was quick. It didn't overstay its welcome. The fact that in a 2-hour show, they were able to generate more entertainment and more importance in terms of what happened on the show than, WWE is able to do with Raw and SmackDown usually on a week-to-week basis, and Raw's had 3 hours for the last decade. It's embarrassing, right? But, maybe we need to start having a conversation about how Shawn Michaels may or may not be a better booker than Triple H in week-to-week television, but we're not going to get into that, right? I haven't seen enough NXT to to actually say that with a good claim, but what I've seen compared to what I've seen from wrestling in the main roster recently, it's pretty shaky. But long story short, Axiom and Nathan Frazier, they do win this match, so that's good to see. It was fun. It was good. And then after this, you get a little sexy red performance, which this was absolute and utter garbage, so we can skip over this. Ethan Page comes out and interrupts, and he's still upset that he lost his belt last week and that NXT's fallen off the rails, he says. And then all of a sudden, we get an interruption from your boy is Bouncy Javon Evans. He comes in. Javon Evans is an absolute dog, right? Javon Evans comes in and beats up Ethan Page a little bit, knocks him out of the ring, and then the GM of SmackDown, The Rock's daughter, she basically announces that next week it's going to be Javon Evans versus Wes Lee versus Ethan Page, and the winner of that match fights Trick Williams for the NXT title at Halloween Havoc, so that should be cool. But on to the main event, Javon Evans versus Randy Orton was... Okay, let me chill out. I was going to call it awesome. It wasn't awesome, but this was a very, very fun match. It was very solid when you understand the backstory behind it. Javon Evans is like a 19-year-old kid, I'm pretty sure, and this dude's in the ring with Randy Orton, a guy who he grew up watching alongside like Jeff Hardy and Cena and all those other people, right? So for him to get this moment, it's very cool to see a kid get that moment to shine and get that moment in general. And then when you factor in that the actual in-ring work in this match was pretty solid. Like Javon Evans was not botching much of anything. I mean, he did a lot of high-flying moves. You had Randy Orton with the in-ring psychology. He's like dodging out on moves and, he's saying, no, not this time. And Javon Evans gets him back and says, no, not this time after he dodges a move from Orton. Javon Evans got suplexed like 4 times on the announce table, so that was pretty insane. And then after this, Javon Evans tries to do like a counter to Randy Orton's DDT, which he does, and then Randy Orton sells it beautifully. Then Javon Evans hits a super cutter from the top rope, which looks a lot better than Mr. Wheatley. So good, I drink it neatly. Libations. I respect you, Randy Orton. Cody Rhodes, his cutter is worse than Javon Evans, all right? That's just as far as I'm saying. But, Javon Evans honestly has the best cutter probably out of all the main roster people, but that's another discussion for another time. Javon Evans hits a great cutter, and then he thinks he's about to go for the finisher, right? Goes up, does this like twirly-whirly thing. He misses it, and Randy, I think, was supposed to get the RKO, but he couldn't get it in time, so he doesn't even try and go for it. So that was a little bit of a botch. And then Orton just lifts him up, RKOs him. Done, bro. 1, 2, 3. Randy gets a massive pop from the hometown crowd in St. Louis, and he wins the main event. And that's your episode, man. The matches were great. The segments were pretty fun outside of a couple jobberish things, a couple jobberish tendencies that were going on in there. The entrances were great. The promo segments were fun to watch. And this is just a straight up breath of fresh air from the same people on the same show for the same thing for Raw and SmackDown and this boring, nonsensical stories that are dragged out 8 weeks versus I can just turn on NXT every once in a while and get a dosage of something new, something fresh with good matches, creative characters and people who actually have gimmicks that I'm interested in. And you get some cameos from main roster people like Jey Uso, Randy, Bianca, Jade, etc. And it makes it all the difference. This was a very good episode of WWE television, I have to admit. I had a lot of fun with it, and that's the goal when you're watching stuff like NXT or even SmackDown or Raw. You want to get stuff that's fun, has a little bit of story to tell, but keeps you entertained and engaged and makes you want to watch it again. And I'm sure at some point soon, I probably will watch another episode of NXT within the next month or two, or I'll definitely watch the Halloween Havoc PLE at the very minimum. So yeah. Great episode. Well, not great. Well, you know what? No, I'm going to call it great. It was very fun. I had a great time with this episode, man. If you guys watched it, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, I hope you guys have a phenomenal day. Deuces. Ooses. Nah, let me get it. Peace out, y'all.